It was by far an improvement. I think this weekend, not only during the matches that we played, but in all three of the matches this weekend, we played well. And I would say, with the exception of our unforced errors, we played really well in the UNC Wilmington match against a team that was top 60 last year, a tournament team, returns almost all their starters. We just had too many unforced errors. And then the evening match against App State was the opposite. Our unforced error rate was extremely low, and we hit almost 400 for the night against a team that a week before went 5 with Virginia Tech. I mean, App State's a good team. And so it was definitely a growth weekend. And for me, like everybody, I like to win. Obviously, we're competitive people. But this time of year, I'm most concerned with, are we improving, and are we improving rapidly? And so that definitely happened this weekend. Without a doubt, we grew considerably from last week to this week. Individuals got quite a bit better. I think if you look at Mal and Katie, for example, their first game of the season was Tuesday. And so they're kind of a week behind some of the other kids in match reps. And that was still kind of the case as we were beginning the weekend. But the last match of the weekend, they both played really, really well. So once they got to their fourth match of the year, playing good volleyball. I mean, Mal had 0 errors in her last match, hit for over 400. Katie hit for about 600 in the last match. So that it just seems like everyone is starting to kind of get on the same page. Some of that is maybe a couple of lineup changes. Some of that's just getting more reps. I mean, team chemistry takes time. Obviously, when you have this many new players out there, it takes a little longer. But now we're, 7 matches into our season. It's starting to look a lot more cohesive as a unit. And like I said, I consider this weekend a very, very much a success for our team and for our program where we are right now.
When you have a young team and you start out the season the way you did, 0-4, and you've got a program that perennial power, expectations are always sky high, how do you think your team handled maybe blocking out that outside noise of, oh man, what's wrong with the volleyball program kind of deal, and kind of weather that storm to play well this weekend?
I don't know if I can answer exactly what allowed that to happen, but it's just we've really tried to prep the team that it's okay to struggle. A phrase we use often is embrace the struggle. And I think sometimes we do a better job of that than others, like every team. It's hard. It's hard to lose. It's hard to lose when you're used to winning. But it's just all part of the journey. And we've tried to just have that mindset when we talk to the team about it. Look, we have a destination. Some years it's a straight road. In some years there's a lot of curves and there's a lot of ups and downs, much like our bus trip this weekend. And all that matters is we get there. And although it's enjoyable to just dominate, I really don't mind the struggle. I really don't. I think it makes you stronger in a number of ways. It makes you appreciate it more once you're there, as opposed to years where you're just blowing people out. Maybe you struggle late in the season, it's your first time to struggle, then it's hard to really get through the moment. I mean, I think back to 2014, we go 16-0 in conference, and everyone's excited. First time that's happened since 2005, and everyone's trying to give our kids crowns, the queens of volleyball around here, and it's amazing when we get in the tournament and we struggle for the first time. We literally, I think at that point, we hadn't lost a match in 65 days, and so we didn't process it well. We didn't work through the struggle very well. I think as we struggle, and we're going to have to continue to struggle, and that's just part of it. It's not going to be easy. That makes us tougher. It builds our resolve, makes a better team for the time of the year when we really need to be tough. And so I think that's just, as long as we're talking about that as our team, and we're talking about, are we improving today? And if we're doing that, if we play great and we lose, like UNC Wilmington, the unforced errors were high, but other than that, we played really, really well against a good team. I would rather have that than to play poorly and win, because it's hard to get people to really buy in when you're winning but playing poorly. We're winning, yay us, And so I think it was a good weekend. It's heading the right direction. I like the mindset of our team.
Talk about Jamie's performance this weekend. I know you're really happy with the way she played, especially after a little bit of an up and down first weekend. What kind of adjustments did she make to kind of get back on track?
Well, we moved her back to being a 3-rotation player, which is what she has historically done for the most part. We needed some more defense in the back row, and Erica going back there gave us that. I think Jamie's serve receive has improved tremendously in the last year. I think she's at a place now that she can serve receive, and I think we're comfortable in that role. She's not quite to that level defensively yet, and Erica is clearly a high-level defender, and so I think that was a big change for us. But I think Jamie is she's just growing, she's maturing, she's learning what she's supposed to do in different situations, and I mean, I'm not surprised by her success this weekend. It just took kind of a week to get it going, but we expect her to have a big year. We don't need her to carry the load, but we expect her to have a big year and enjoy that year, and this weekend was definitely a great first step for that.
How do you like where Mallory and Katie are at now after coming off an injury and illness? Are they kind of finally back to 100%?
Well, we all noticed the volleyball part, but the leadership of Mal is huge. The energy and the positivity of Katie, huge. She has just an infectious personality. I mean, it's just amazing when she gets out there. The energy is so good, and then it catches to the next person and the next person. Before you know it, the whole team's at a different place emotionally. And in addition, when you hit 600, that obviously is really good. So I think she's still learning. I think she's a better offensive player right now than she is a defensive player. We're working on that side of the game, getting a little better, trying to give her a few more offensive options to continue her growth in that way. But having both of them back, I mean, it changes us. I mean, I think that's no disrespect to the other kids that were out there. They're just mature kids that have been out there before, and there's no replacing experience. I mean, Katie was a starter for 2/3 of last season. She played all spring. Obviously, Mal is a 4-year starter. So it changes our team in every possible way when they're out there, and that was a big reason why some of the results started changing as well.
Caitlin started at setter for you the first weekend. Last weekend, we saw a lot of Steph. Where do you envision that position kind of heading in terms of who's going to get the majority of the playing time?
Yeah, we are, I think, watching and waiting for one kid to just own the position. You know, I think I was certainly noting that when I was watching a football game last night, that both teams were playing a 2-quarterback system, and for one team, it seemed to go really, really well in terms of fully accepting and embracing the role, you know, and the other team, sure. And so I think we're trying to find that balance of our two kids fighting for the position, desperately wanting to be out there, but when you're not, supporting the other person, being ready to go. And I think that's what happened this weekend. You know, we started the UNC Wilmington match. Caitlin was struggling. Steph went in and played pretty well. And so she earned the start that night. And you don't hit 400 unless your setter's setting well. I mean, I don't care how well you pass. I don't care who's on the other side of the net. I don't care how well you're hitting. If you don't set well, you don't hit almost 400. And Steph helped us do that on Saturday night. So I would think right now, from what we've seen this weekend, Steph's in the lead. But going into the weekend, Caitlin's in the lead. And so we'll just have to watch that continue to progress, watch both first-year setters learn the position and learn what it means to do that at the college level, not just the setting part, but the leadership part, the energy part, the defense, the serving. I mean, all the different phases of the game, that all of them matter. But I think this weekend, I think Steph took a pretty significant step forward. And I think particularly Saturday night, she was really good.
Can you give us a little bit of a scouting report on the teams you'll be facing this weekend in Oklahoma?
We don't know a lot about them right now. We're just now starting to get video and start to learn about them. But I do know that I've watched Lamar. I watched them on the bus ride home this weekend, and they don't have a good record right now. But I was watching them play against Kansas, I believe, and they're pretty physical. I mean, Kansas was a Final Four team last year, and although Kansas won pretty easily, Lamar did not look outmatched physically at a number of positions, and so I was impressed by that. A couple of dynamic hitters, and in some ways, those teams that you know are better than what their record indicate, they always make you a little nervous because they're so desperate to get that first win. I mean, that was us a few days ago, that we felt we were better than what our record indicated, and I think Lamar is one of those teams. UTSA is a team that has been really good for the last few years, and I believe they're picked second in their conference right now. I believe right behind Western Kentucky. I believe, not positive on that. They played Texas last week and they lost in 3, but I think it was like 25-22, 25-23, 26-24, something like that, against a top 5 team. And so they're a very good program. I expect that to be a very, very challenging match. Then obviously Oklahoma, the host school, physical team out of a Power 5 conference, as you would expect. A very well-coached team. They've had a great deal of success as well. So we definitely know it's going to be a challenging weekend. I'm looking forward to being there, looking forward to briefly going through my home state of Texas. And we're going to actually fly there and have a meal at Brooks' house in the Dallas area, and then drive up and then play. And then I'm kind of looking forward to the reverse schedule. We play twice on Friday, play once on Saturday, and then we get to fly home. So we'll be home Saturday night. I would guess we'll be back to Athens by 8:30, 9 o'clock. And in season, if you can do that on a Saturday, that's a great day. And so looking forward to another great weekend.
That kind of leads me to my last question for you today. It's about Brooke, and I know you make a point of trying to play in everybody's home area, at least once while they're here at Ohio. Talk about kind of the journey that Brooke's been on. She's been through a coaching change. She battled a concussion last year. She has the responsibility of filling the role of Meredith Ashe, who was one of your all-time best players. Talk about just some of the things she's been through and maybe the growth you've seen from her during her time here.
Yeah, I think Brooke is, I think more importantly than volleyball, she's just a really solid person. She was, before she became one of our, on-court or volleyball captains, she became our first ever academic captain. And she's someone that does things the right way, takes care of her schoolwork and goes to class, encourages our team, leads younger players in teaching them how to study, teaching them how to be a good collegiate student athlete. I mean, I think if I had to describe her, I would just use those two words, student athlete. And she does it the right way, in the right order, works hard, has improved. I think as far as the volleyball, she's improved tremendously in serve receive. I think the moment that really started was, it was last year that could have been 2 years ago. I don't remember, but we were at Northwestern and we lost in a really 17-15 fifth set. And we keep a lot of numbers, we keep a lot of stats. And I just shared with the team, look, here are our top 4 passers. And this person, for example, she gets aced 1 out of every 40 balls that served to her. This person, every 30 balls. And we got to the last 2, who happened to be Meredith Ashe and Brooke at that point. And we said, all right, and Mary, you get aced 1 out of every 16 balls served to you. Brooke, you get aced 1 out of every 11 balls that are served to you. And it was just, at that moment, Brooke just basically said, all right, that's about enough of that. And she's just really taken off. And I think she's really embraced how important that phase of the game is. And she has gotten better and better and better. And I think in every match she's played so far this year, I won't bore you with the exact stats, but we'll just say she's passed at a high level. Some she started really fast and was maybe just okay later. Several times she started a little slower and was really, really great at the end. But her average pass for every match this year has been really good. And so I just think she understands that. I think she's still learning, the defensive part, because she's never played in Zone 5 before. She's played in Zone 1 her entire career. She was a setter before she came here. Then she was a DS in Zone 1. And so she's still learning the different angles, the different movement, the different things you have to do as you see different parts of the offense happen on the other side of the net. But I think it's happening, and I think it's growing. I think she's, as a leader, she brings a sense of calm. She's not a too high or too low kind of person. But I just know she's doing well, and she's improving. We like what she's doing for our team, but more importantly, we really like who she is as a person and what she is for the people around her.
Anything, Jake?
Yeah, I know you talked about embrace the struggle. Do you think maybe the rough start to the season maybe kind of helped your girls kind of mold together a little more? I mean, when I watch them today, I see a lot of really tight relationships out there too. It just seems like they're kind of meshing together. Do you think maybe the whole embrace the struggle thing has kind of helped them come together?
I think it does. We very much value team culture, and we very much value relationships. We talk about that with our kids often. That 20 years from now, you're going to have your rings, and you're going to remember championships, but you're not going to remember a lot. You're going to remember those relationships. And I can tell you who is someone on the the other side of that, who slightly more than 20 years ago graduated college. I mean, I don't talk to anyone from college that wasn't either a roommate or a teammate. And that would have been true 5 years after I got out. And for most people that are collegiate student athletes, that's their experience. And you hope you make some other friends along the way and all that, but this is your family. And so build those relationships and spend time doing that and be vulnerable and talk and do all those things, because this is lifetime. And so we really value that in our program in general, but I especially believe that when you struggle together, it kind of the us against the world, whatever you want to call it, mentality, you do get a little tighter, because you have to struggle a little bit. You have to hurt a little bit. You're going to cry a little bit together, and it's hard. And you have to go back to the locker room, after you played really, really poorly. And sometimes you have to learn how to lose, and you don't want to make it a habit of losing, but you have to learn how to respond. And I would say the first weekend, a lot of our young players didn't know how to lose. They truly didn't. And so you have some kids that are just overly freaking out about it in the locker room. You have some kids that are like, well, all right, what's next? Because attention span is kind of short sometimes. And so that they've had to process that together. They've had to talk through, look, you got to respect the people that take it pretty hard without letting it ruin you for the next 3 days. We talk about win or lose, you have until midnight. And then tomorrow morning, we get up and we get better. Whether you won or lost yesterday is pretty irrelevant to today. Might affect your mood a little bit, but it shouldn't make you a different person. And so we try to compartmentalize that. But I think our kids they're just a good group, and they really love each other, and they're truly a family. They enjoy spending time together, and that makes a world of difference for every one of them. Makes a world of difference for us as coaches. That even we lost some at the beginning. When you can walk to the gym as a coach, you're like, I really enjoy this group. I really enjoy coming to work with them. That makes everything that much better. And then when you start winning, it just makes it that much more enjoyable. Because I've been on the other side of that. There was a year, and this is lots and lots and lots of years ago, but there was a team. I remember one year that we were getting ready to go to the conference tournament. We were a high seed. I remember talking to my wife. I was like, I just don't want to go. And she was like, what's going on? You love coaching. But it was just the group. I mean, it was just the people that couldn't stand each other. And it was a hard group to be around. And this is a group that, I know it's early in the season. We don't want to go too crazy. Everybody loves each other a lot more after 2 weeks than after a bunch of road trips. We'll see how we do go to Buffalo and back. But it's just a great group. It's a really good group of people. And I really credit our captains for that, leading the culture, and our secondary leaders leading that culture. They make it where people want to be together. And when that happens, you see it, like you said, you see it on the court. When you see tight-knit, and as you start trusting each other on defense, those relationships mean even more. So I'm glad you noticed that, and that's something that we'll continue to hope to grow.